Okay guys, so today I wanted to shoot a video about all my case knives that have the script shield. Um, there may be technically a different name for a knife like this. It may not be called a script shield, but I'm almost certain that these cursive lettered ones are considered a case silver script, and I'm just kind of assuming that these are too. They're just obviously not in cursive, but manuscript. But these are just the knives that have lettered shields rather than just the oval or the bomb or diamonds or any of those that you typically see. So the very first time I saw a script shield on a case knife, I believe I was watching a YouTube video and a guy had a copper lock, which I don't have one of these with this handle, but I'd love to get one day. But I believe the guy had a copper lock and it was in this goldenrod bone. And I saw it and I thought, oh my gosh, now that is just the absolute epitome of class. I just thought it looked so good. So immediately I got on eBay and began to search for one. And I don't know if I found one or not. If I did, they're usually pretty expensive. The copper locks, I mean. But anyway, a little while later, I wound up finding this trapper, and I'm pretty sure I only gave $35 for this trapper, which is actually cheaper than what I give for most of the trappers. Usually, I get a trapper for about $40, $45, $50, but I got this one a little cheaper than that, even though it had the great handles and the shield and everything. But we're not going to talk about knife patterns today. I'm just going to show you these covers and these shields and my little collection of what I consider my silver script shield knives. So there's that. That's the goldenrod bone. It's a pretty attractive knife. The color, nice deep golden yellow. A little bit lighter on this side, but that's to be expected with case knives. And that's just one of the things that I don't really mind if the scales don't match completely, as long as they're pretty close. So to keep in that theme, we'll move on to this one. I may have mentioned it in some earlier videos, if you've seen those videos or not, but the large or jumbo stockman is just about my favorite pattern. It's a big knife, a little bit bigger than a trapper, as you can see, but I've got big hands, and I just think that these big jumbo stockmen are just a really good size. This one's in stainless. The one I carry almost every day is a CV knife. I've let these get dirty sitting here. But this one is in the cranberry bone. And the thing that drew me to this one, because all the cranberry bone have this shield, but what drew me to this one, it was a good price. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I don't have just endless funds. I've got a big family, and I work an honest day's wage. And I've got my wife stays at home with the kids, which is exactly how I like it. But my money goes about as far as it can go, and sometimes I just don't get to buy knives as often as I want to, or the particular knife that I want. But this one came in at a good price. And this one is mostly purple and dark purple. I'd almost call it like a plum color. The back side is pretty close. A lot of these cranberry bone knives get real faded towards the ends, and they just start to look real, kind of almost a real faded pinkish. And in my mind, they're not that attractive. In this lighting here, this knife isn't showing out too much, but you take this thing outside and it has some really good hues in the natural sunlight. But there's another one of my knives with a case script shield. Case with the double X down here. Alright, I have one more like that. Y'all saw this in a rustlock video maybe. This knife is showing up really red in this lighting, but it's not as pink in real life as it appears to be right here. But this is just a case rustlock, and I think they just call this a red bone. It's not dark red, but just a red bone. And I got this one here with the Case XX script shield. That's kind of the reason that I bought this knife. Then I guess we can move on to this one here. This is a midnight bone, Case calls it. And I've seen these knives that were actually kind of a lot prettier than this one. This is it's really just kind of a dark brown. Nothing too exciting, but it has the tested XX, which as you can see goes all the way across the knife on the show side. And I just thought these were cool. These are typically pretty expensive when you find them on eBay, but my wife called me one morning. I was at work, and she said, hey, she said, you might want to go by this little antique store down the road. And she said, I was down there this morning and I saw a case knife that I think you might be interested in. And I said, really? I said, well, send me a picture, you know. And so she had a picture that she took, and she sent it to me, and I was blown away when this is what I saw. I had no idea that there was going to be a Case midnight bone sowbelly, of all things, down at that little antique shop. And I got down there, and I asked the lady if I could look at it. And this was like most antique stores. It's one of them deals where people pay to rent a booth, and they just leave their stuff there with the number of their booth on the tag. And so the guy had $65 on this knife, which was probably not a bad deal. But when I picked it up and looked at it and opened the blades up and everything, it was extremely dirty. I mean, the whatever you call these in here, these grooves in the knife, the word's leaving me, but the channels were so packed full of pocket lint and stuff that the knife blades didn't even want to go down in there all the way. They would get close and then they would just hang up. But yeah, I asked her, I said, I wonder if the guy would take less. And she said, well, I can call him. And so she did. She called the fella, and I didn't even place an offer. She asked if he would take less for this knife, and he said, yeah, I'll do 50. And so she looked at me and said, hey, he said he'd take 50 for it. And I said, I can do 50. So I got this knife for $50, and it's in pretty good shape. It's put together real well. So I thought I did pretty good on this one. Like I said, it took a real deep cleaning. I had to get the old dental pick out and really work on getting the lint out of that one. But I finally got it, and it's been a pretty good knife, and I'm very proud to have that one in the collection. So now moving on to these different shields here. I've heard this called a Longtail C for obvious reasons, but this cursive C has a long tail as well, so I don't know if I'm calling these exactly by the right name or not. But this is I believe they call it antique bone. And I ran up on this one on eBay just searching for knives. Like I said in an earlier video, I just look for good deals. I'll almost never go on eBay looking for a particular knife. I just get on there, I enter a generalized search, you know, case knives, case knife. Sometimes I'll do case trapper, you know, but I keep it general, and then I set my price limit to what I want to pay, and then I don't have to see everybody's $300 knives or whatever. And just sometimes I get lucky, and that was the case with this one. I believe I gave $40 for this one on eBay, and I was probably just searching case knives, and this one popped up, and I said, oh my goodness, I need that for $40. And so I did. I bought this one. But this one's built real well. If I remember right, this one has real good action, and it does. Back springs are good and strong on this knife. So yeah, that's been another really good pickup. So then lastly, with the same style shield, y'all may have seen my video on this knife. I'm super proud to have this one. Once again, this lighting is kind of washing the color out on this particular knife, but it's a nice rich blue. I'm not sure what they call this, if it's just navy blue or what they call it, because I bought this at the flea market, so I didn't get a box, naturally. And I haven't looked it up and matched up the years to see if there was a particular run of these. But anyway, got this large Saddlehorn, which you can't find many of these around. When you do find these on eBay, they're usually extremely expensive. I saw this knife at the flea market several weeks before I bought it, and I didn't really have the money the first time, and then we got a bonus at work, a pretty good bonus, and I said, hey, I know what I'm going to go buy, and it was the first thing I thought of was this pocket knife. So several weeks later, I went to the same little flea market and ran straight to this guy. He had the knife in the case still. I said, hey, you know, how much do you want for that knife? I knew how much he'd wanted earlier. I was just making sure he hadn't changed his mind. But he said 65, and that's exactly how much he had told me he wanted the first time. And I said, okay, can I look at it? And he got it out and showed it to me. The blades looked good. The action was great. It was a little dirty, but not terrible, you know, and it looks like it's been used. This blade's kind of scratched, or it almost looks like somebody's tried to polish it with something a little too rough. But regardless, the blades are in good shape. The camera's picking up a lot of that you don't really even see with the naked eye. But this knife has half stops. You have to flip it to get to the nail nick of this great big huge spay blade. I jokingly call this my peanut butter spreading blade, but I think it almost resembles a cotton sampler blade to me, and I wondered if it indeed was a cotton sampling blade. But when I kind of researched the Saddlehorn, everybody said it's just a big trapper knife, so I guess it's just a big spade blade on a big trapper knife. But like I said, it's got nice half stops. This one's built pretty well. The blades fall pretty well centered. This one's a little bit off to the left, but this one's not too bad. And yeah, just a big old chunky knife. I had this sheath made before I ever purchased this knife, but when I got it home and was, you know, just fiddling around with it, I realized this sheath is just almost just perfect custom fit for this knife. So when I carry this, sometimes I put it in this sheath. It just fits like a glove. I mean, it won't even fall out. Slides out easy enough, but it retains. And so yeah, that was just another one that I was just super proud to get a hold of. So there you go. Those are my case knives with script shields. I've got the red bone rustlock, the midnight bone sowbelly, goldenrod trapper, antique bone trapper, cranberry bone jumbo stockman, and I'm going to call this navy blue bone large Saddlehorn. So I hope y'all enjoyed this. Give me a like, subscribe. I'm going to do lots of videos. I've got an extensive case knife collection. Maybe not to everyone's standards, but I've got over 100 case knives, and I'm wanting to show them all to you in some form or fashion, and I typically add one a month. So y'all stay tuned for the next video. Like I said, leave a comment. That helps the video to get momentum, and consider subscribing. I'd love to show y'all my knives. See y'all in the next one.